the biggest things to do and not to do in the first 10 rounds of your fantasy football drafts. If you've never seen me before, I'm Max. I'm a full-time fantasy football content creator, giving you the information you need to help you win your leagues. We're going to go round 1 through 10 here. Biggest thing you want to do in each round, the thing you want to avoid the most in each round, essentially what you don't want to do. And if you walk into your draft knowing these things, trying to put actionable steps in 7, 8, or even 9 of these 10 rounds, you're going to walk out with a team that's pretty complete, has a lot of upside. Obviously, drafts are never going to go perfect for you, but if you prioritize these things, you're going to maximize your chance that it actually does go close to perfect. We're going to start with round 1. The biggest thing you want to do is actually pick with rounds 2 and 3 in mind. The biggest thing you don't want to do is just blindly take the best player available. Those kind of marry each other. They kind of bounce off of each other, and I'll show you what I mean here in a second. In rounds 3 and 4, there's a pretty steep drop-off in running backs. After round 3, there's a huge drop-off in tight ends. After round 2, really, the tier of wide receiver ones drops. Then after round 6, maybe, the tier of other wide receiver 2s really drops. So you have to pick with these next couple rounds in mind. Now, I have a pick chart on my spreadsheet for every single pick in your fantasy drafts. 10-man, 12-man, 14-man, as well as the pick strategy you should employ when you're picking, so you can maximize the availability of running backs that you want in round 2 and 3 from, let's say, the 4th pick, the 5th pick. These are all in my spreadsheet, which is linked below. It's completely free for you. But you want to pick with rounds 2 and 3 in mind so you can walk out of the first couple rounds, which we'll talk about here, with at least one really good running back, the best player available in at least one of those rounds, and a complete top 3 to your fantasy team. Moving to round 2, the biggest do and the biggest don't is balancing out your first round pick, and don't take a quarterback. Unless you were in a 14-man league and you really want to reach for Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, I would hesitate to take a quarterback because of, again, the drop-off in running backs, receivers, and even tight ends after the first 3 rounds. Now, you can be my guest if you want to take Lamar. I'd take Josh Allen before Lamar. At the end of round 2, just know the draft has to almost fall perfectly for you to balance the upside, to have the depth you want at receiver and running back, and really just make your team overall better because there are high upside quarterbacks that are going to be available. We'll talk round 6, round 10, really anywhere between then. But you want to balance out your first round pick. Again, we'll go back to these pick charts. You can look at this, right? If I'm picking with the 101 here, I want Jamar Chase. I want the anchor wide receiver strategy. The anchor wide receiver strategy is a receiver, then at least one more running back. Again, all of these have anchor wide receiver strategies, but even now, like Bijan into anchor wide receiver or Saquon into anchor wide receiver, you're taking a running back here. You still want to balance out your holistic roster, but really your top 3 with another receiver, because after second round, there's a huge drop-off in wide receivers. I can't stress the drop-off enough. After round 2, there's a drop-off in wide receiver 1s, but after round 3, big drop-off in tight ends. After round 4, big drop-off in running backs. Moving to round 3, very, very similar. You want to make sure or do have at least one running back on your roster. You can go look at some of the ADPs of the guys that are available, but really after Alvin Kamara, Kenneth Walker, you got to be really lucky getting them in the early 4th as well. The running backs are almost a crapshoot. There's a couple high upside rookies in round 5. There's potentially some guys who could overtake the starter in their backfield in round 7 and 8, but you can't bank on those guys to consistently produce for your team, and exactly, you don't want to have 0 running backs. Moving to round 4, the biggest do is reading the board around you. This is crucial for your drafts if you are going with the strategy, which I think is the best, like anchor wide receiver where you're waiting for a quarterback and trying to build out your roster. Even a hero running back style where you're taking a running back very early and waiting to take running backs later on. You want to make sure you're reading the board correctly as it relates to the ADPs. I'm going to keep going back to these pick charts because they're enormous. Let's say you got the 2nd overall pick in a 10-man, right? In round 4, you know you're picking at 39, right? However, after you make your 3rd pick, you have, 16 picks before yours. You have to look at the ADPs of the guys who are getting picked from 23 to 38 and understand where your board is going to be at pick 39, where your board is going to be at pick 42, and really so on and so forth. But it's so important in these rounds because of the huge run on running backs and receivers. the depth of your team is going to be made in round 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, but it's going to be set up for success with how you handle these fourth round picks, even early fifth round picks, because there are a ton of picks in between you. Very similar. If you're picking at the end of round 4, let's say you make your pick here at 32, right? You feel confident about your roster and you're like, okay, I'm a good running back away from making my depth incredible right now. Well, if you're picking at 32 and 49, you're going to have, again, 16 picks in between when you're picking in the third round and the fourth round, and all of the running backs are going to fly off the board in that spot. You got to understand where the board has been turning, how it's going to turn before your fourth round pick, and where it's going to turn after you make your fourth round pick moving into the fifth. Again, spreadsheet is completely free for you guys. You have to use these pick charts. It's the best way to go, especially if you're looking at like ADPs. You can see where these guys are being taken in relation to each other as well as overall. It's crucial. Now, the biggest thing you don't want to do here, in my opinion, is reach for a quarterback. I'm looking at guys like, I guess, end of round 4, I'd be okay with Joe Burrow. But guys like Jalen Hurts at the end of round 4, I would hesitate to reach for because of, again, the upside that's available in rounds 5 and 6. There's a huge dip in wide receivers. I'd rather take a receiver I'm confident in and take 2 swings at quarterback than the other way around. Receivers, to me, are harder to predict. I'll take my chances with the guys who I know will be on the board. In round 5, the biggest do is drafting DK Metcalf and Travion Henderson. These are my 2 favorite fifth-round picks. Guys like DK, who's a number 1 wide receiver in the Aaron Rodgers offense, who's literally just going to get pumped targets, and Travion Henderson, whose ADP begins to rise, but has been significantly undervalued, who's going to take over the, I'll say, number 1A running back spot for the New England Patriots in very due time. Now, this draft the tight end thing is the exact same for the next 3 rounds. I'll spoil it right now. Rounds 5 through 7, tight end dead zone. To me, you are so much better off waiting for a David Njoku, waiting for a rookie in Colston Loveland or Tyler Warren, waiting for an Evan Engram, than reaching for one here like Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, who are a little bit older, may have some more competition around them, and just overall have a ton of question marks where they could be comparable to the players being taken a couple rounds later for them. But now in the 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds, you're getting really good swings at some high upside players. I'll move to round 6 here in a second, but some really good quarterbacks that are going to be available. I'd rather take my better swings at those positions that are, in my opinion, a little bit harder to predict in those middle rounds, which is exactly why in round 6, I'm drafting Baker Mayfield. This is a guy who statistically was unbelievable last year. I know it's hard to replicate 40 touchdowns, but every single starter is back plus Emeka Ibuka. Now, I know he's got a new offensive coordinator, but he changed offensive coordinators last offseason and threw 40 touchdowns. Baker's good. He's got really good weapons around him. He is going to be an excellent fantasy player, and for all I care, is the 4th best quarterback, maybe 5th best, in fantasy football, but is being drafted like the 7th or the 8th. This in round 6 is exceptional value. Round 7, the biggest do is plan for your upside tight end. I talked about it a couple times. Rounds 5 through 7, the upside players you want to wait for. The big drop-off after round 3. If you're not taking Bowers, McBride, or Kittle, you're waiting for a tight end. Round 7, I'm not necessarily taking one, but I'm most definitely, again, going back to these pick charts. Where am I at in round 7? Let's see here. Let's say I'm picking 65. Will somebody be available for me at 65? I don't know. Probably not. Okay, I can wait till 76. But preparing for those guys like, again, Evan Engram, David Njoku, the rookies, Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland. This is when you really need to start to prepare, especially if you're waiting for a tight end, because the other 2 to 3 players in your league who have also taken the same strategy and avoided that dead zone are also preparing. You have to make sure you know when the tight ends will be available, when those other guys around you are picking, reading the board, like I said, I believe round 4, and you are going to benefit exceptionally from planning for your upside tight end. Round 8, another player-specific one, draft Stephon Diggs. I mean, he's the number 1 wide receiver in New England. At the end of the day, Drake May does not have a ton of players to throw to. Stephon Diggs is a safety valve. He's winning one-on-one. He's the blitz guy as well. He looks unbelievable and is continuing to be undervalued. At some platforms, he's going outside the top 100, which is nuts to me. Stephon Diggs is on the board. This is an elite flex you can get, especially if you're being a little more aggressive early on with tight ends and quarterbacks. This is a great flex option you can get. If you're 3rd or 4th receiver, you're in business as well. The biggest don't in round 8 is play it safe. You have to think upside in round 8. A lot of these players in round 8 are guys who are either wide receivers, running backs who could potentially maybe overtake the starter in their backfield. If you're playing it safe in round 8, you're playing not to lose, in my opinion. If you think upside, where a guy like Stephon Diggs could have 100-plus targets in the offense, a guy like, I'm trying to think here, Jalen Waddle's another very high upside one with lots of question marks about Tyreek Hill, an offense that may pass the ball a lot. That's an upside-oriented guy, whereas you're picking a guy like, I'm trying to think off the top of my head here who would be available. Let's see. Jaden Reed has some upside, so I won't use Jaden Reed. But like Jawan Jennings to me. Jawan Jennings is a guy who's been going around here. What's his ceiling? How good is he going to be in fantasy? Is he going to be potentially better than a Stephon Diggs? No. Like, take the guys who have higher ceilings here because you can afford to do so. You've taken your starters, the guys you're most confident in. Now you're taking big swings, league-winning swings. If you hit a home run in round 8 or 9, you're in, like, the reality is you're in the playoffs. I'm not even trying to be dramatic, not kidding. Like, you hit a home run or two in rounds 8 through 11, you are in the playoffs. That's why you think upside. Don't play it safe in rounds, I guess, 8 through 11, but really round 8. That's when it starts. Round 9, the biggest do is Q/plan for your number one running back handcuff. So if you go back up the board, right, the ensure you have 1+ running back in the first 3 rounds is going to make sure you have at least an elite back that is going to headline your running back room. However, when you have an elite back, you have to make sure you have his handcuff. Let's do Bijan Robinson, for example. You draft Bijan Robinson 2nd overall. You have to make sure you draft Tyler Algier in case Bijan Robinson gets hurt so you don't miss the overall production from the backup in that backfield. I'm not saying draft Tyler Algier in the 9th round. Again, you plan for upside, you think upside in these rounds, but starting in round 9, develop the plan. Find the backup running back's ADP, cue him, see what percentage he's going to be available in the 11th round, the 12th round. You have to plan for your backup running back. At round 9, you don't want to build too much depth. Again, round 9 is a great spot to take a swing on an upside-oriented quarterback, an upside-oriented tight end, because those guys are going to start to run. However, you have a little more freedom, and you'll see the biggest don't here in round 10, to just pick your guys. So don't just try to get a 4th receiver because you only have 3. Don't try to get a 5th running back because you only have 4. Take your guys. Don't focus on depth. Take the upside guys, Q/plan for your number one running back handcuff, and ultimately just think upside, much like round 8. And then round 10, we'll finish up. Dak Prescott's another quarterback I love. We talked about the quarterback 1 potential as well as proven production. Great offense, great weapons around him. Going to throw the ball a ton. He should not be going in round 10. To me, he's a top 10 fantasy quarterback. He shouldn't be going there. And then this one, this is huge. Round 10, this goes beyond just the schematics or the analytics of fantasy football. Don't just rely on the rankings. Don't be on your draft platform and think, okay, Jaylen Warren's the best player available. Let me just take him. Unless you like Jaylen Warren, that's literally no fun. So when you get into round 10, have a list of your guys. Have a list of the guys that you believe in, whether it's from my content, somebody else's content, guys that you genuinely like and want on your team, who, number 1, are probably already high upside, like we talked about in round 8. But number 2, provide a little bit of joy for you. At the end of the day, you want to win, right? But you want to have fun in winning. That's the bottom line. And a lot of times I've had the most fun in fantasy football was when I've located a sleeper. I go back 2 years ago, my favorite fantasy draft pick ever. It may have even been round 10. It was like 9, 10, or 11. Sam Laporta, who I was like, this is my guy. I need to get him. He's got upside as a rookie, but he's way down on the rankings. Somebody might snag him. Screw it. I'm just going to take a chance. And he wound up being one of the top 5 fantasy tight ends on my championship team 2 years ago. Don't rely on rankings. Believe in your guys. Have fun with it. And those are the biggest do's and don'ts in the first 10 rounds of your fantasy draft. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like. And if you're new, make sure you subscribe. As always, this spreadsheet is available for you in the description. You got best picks in each round, as well as a bunch of other YouTube videos to help you with your drafts on my account as well. I appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you in the next video.